Hello, Captains of Pixelated Warships. This is the Stig, and today we have a very special treat. We are going to be reviewing the brand new, day of release, German Battleship Bismarck, a Tier 7 Leviathan. And first and foremost, I wanted to showcase the beauty of this magnificent vessel, as well as go over my commander setup, just for you all to see. And speaking of a commander setup, I'm going to be going over Franz Von Hipper as my commander, because unfortunately for those of you who do not know, I do not own Autociliacs. However, the secondary build, which I have chosen for this game, with Franz Von Hipper, is quite effective and absolutely brutal, and I cannot wait to show you this magnificent gameplay of what should be a Kraken. As for today, we will be playing Capture the Base on Fault Line. Now, I can't stress enough how important this gameplay is, but today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to go over my commander setup and specifications on the ship itself, so feel free to listen and/or watch. But I can assure you that this is a very, very fun match, and it shows precisely how fantastic this ship is in terms of dispersion, speed, power, anything you can think of a word that is epic that fits. The Bismarck does. So today, like I mentioned, I wanted to go over my commander setup first and foremost, just so you can understand the reason why I'm playing the way I am, and so you can put A and B together so you can see the epicness that this game shows. So first and foremost, with Franz Von Hipper, he is level 16, legendary rank 2. His base trait is at range of secondary guns plus 13.5%, which is absolutely epic. With that, his first module, I have chosen Flammable Cannoneer, which gives the range of the battleship's main guns plus 8%, the precision of the battleship's main guns plus 5%, and unfortunately the risk of catching fire plus 13%. Next, for the second module, I've decided to choose Gyrating Drill Bits. This has the battleship's main gun AP shells damage at an extra plus 10%, the traverse speed of the battleship's guns at plus 1.5 degrees per second, and unfortunately a maximum battleship speed of negative 10%. And I can assure you that this is disappointing, especially when being a battleship and needing the speed that you need, but when you play this ship correctly with this chosen, I can guarantee you that she will be successful. And again, I will say this over and over, this video will showcase that. Next, it's not as important, but I have chosen Marksmanship for the third module, which gives the dispersion of the main battery negative 7%, and unfortunately, again, another negative. The rudder shift time is at plus 5%. As for the fourth module, I've chosen Reaching Out XXL, which gives the range of main guns plus 3%. For the legendary 2 status, I have amount of HP recovered at plus 6% for the increased HP regeneration rate when repair party is active, and that is very important to this build, especially for being tanky and especially for the people who can set you on fire. So next, for the inspirations, which is vitally important for this build, we have Andrew Cunningham, which is a standard. He has the precision of battleship's main guns at plus 2.5%, and a brand new French commander I decided to put on, which is showcased in this game, is Robert Jajour. Anyway, his skill is Bore, which increases your battleship's AP shells multiplier, and that is at plus 2.1%. So with all that being said, before we go into actual gameplay footage here, I wanted to go over the statistics very quickly of this ship, just so you have a better understanding. So first and foremost, for survivability, the Bismarck is at 69,200, armor plating is 19 to 360 millimeters, and torpedo damage reduction is 22%. Now is where things get interesting with the artillery. So I have not decided to do a main gun build. I have on my turpets, and I will be going over that in another video, but for right now, the Bismarck, its firing range is 19.3 kilometers at 26-second reload time. 180-degree turn time is 27.7 seconds. And since this is the secondary build, that is actually pretty stunning, especially with the 380mm 4x2 configuration of main guns. So now is where it gets fun, is with the secondary armament. So the firing range of both the 105mm and the 150mm armament is 10.2 kilometers, with Hipper by himself. With that, the 105mm, the reload time is 2.7 seconds. For the 150mm, it is 6 seconds. The 105mm has a 5% chance of fire, and the 150mm has an 8% chance of fire. So with this build, it is absolutely insane, the firing range distance for the secondary armament. And we all know that, we've all been waiting for this, but you don't really understand it until you're actually playing the ship. And with that, I have to give reassurance to the people who don't have celiacs, that I have to say, celiacs is not needed for this secondary build to be successful, okay? The secondary build at 10.2 kilometers by itself is absolutely amazing and devastating. Celiacs, yes, he is the topper, okay? He adds, you know, a good bonus to your distance, but he is not needed. The fear of your battleship, the way it is off the bat, just with having Hipper, is more than enough. And to those who do have celiacs, more power to you. It's going to be a great ship regardless. But for people who are in my boat, or for people who do have celiacs, and/or Hipper, or the people who just have celiacs, regardless of your setup for secondary build, it is still going to be absolutely epic, I promise you. And for those of you who do not have the Bismarck yet, I have to say, you need to grind to get it. Or you need to spend your extra shillings and get her and pump through the Gneisenau, because this ship is insane. The turtleback armor is insane. Her ability to tank is insane, and she takes all of the brute force. She absolutely does, and she is well worth it. And I understand there are people, historically, crazy people like me, who love the Bismarck for what the ship has done. And in game, the ship lives up to what you know of the ship. From what you've learned, what you've read, the movies, the documentaries, everything. This ship stands up, and it is epic. Please buy the Bismarck. You must get it. But with that being said, I wanted to go over some information here of the actual live gameplay footage, as I actually have never done so. And I wanted to start now. And you can see, starting off with this tasty Atlanta treat. Well, Atlanta has, not a good life ahead of it. And with that, we are already at 2 ships down. And as a spoiler, we unfortunately do not get the Kraken, because this Iowa definitely hid. And the game does start to get pickly at times, especially near the end, but we do hold our own and stay alive. But with that, I can't stress, again, the ship's tankiness. And you have to note that when playing the ship, especially with my setup, it's like every other ship and ship class, you need to be angled. You have fantastic armor, you have great speed, but you always need to be angled, and your awareness at tier 7 has to be absolutely solid. The ability to tank comes from that. It comes from the map awareness. It comes from you being smart, and you have to have that in mind. And don't get me wrong, when you're playing this ship, if you have the Iowa, if you have a tanky tier 7 ship, the Bismarck mentally makes you feel powerful. It actually gives you the confidence, and surprisingly, especially for myself, it makes me play better. It makes me want to win even more so. And wow, just like that, my proven example, Vanguard gets a beautiful citadel while the secondaries are just firing away. And as you can see, 7 kilometers away, that Vanguard, 7.4 kilometers, is not that far, but also not that close. But it just goes to show you how far, even if you have your setup at 10.2 kilometers, how far those ships actually are out. And if you can get Celiacs with Hipper maxed out, of course it's going to make a big difference. But as you can see right there, the secondaries are absolutely brutal. And with that, like I said, for angling, you have to be careful of the Iowa. That just smacked me. But, you know, as you can see, the Iowa, for some reason, kind of pieces out, goes away. And I don't know if that's because of fear. I don't know. You know, I mean, for the map awareness right now, for where my team is at, the Iowa's in a prime position to finish me off. And this is where actually the Iowa hides. And we unfortunately have to chase it. And there you go. Close quarters expert on that Vanguard behind the rocks. So that proves right there that the dispersion, especially with the secondary build, is fantastic. And that's one of the things that people have been wondering, especially if destroyers run up to you during the game. How without manual secondaries are you going to be able to kill them? And that proves right there that the manual secondaries, that proves that the secondaries, however, not being manual, can find their target, especially since I said before the reload time is 2.7 seconds with 105mm in the secondaries, 150mm the 150mm secondaries are at 6 seconds. So you were able to spam these shells like absolute crazy. You are essentially a giant fly swatter from anything 10 kilometers from your sides. And there we have another beautiful kill of the Scharnhorst. And as you could see earlier, that Scharnhorst was being very pickly going on the other side of the island when I was back there. I was trying to watch my backside, and that's one of the things, like I said, with your map awareness, you need to know. And unfortunately, this did not go as much as as well as I planned with the Iowa there. But, you know, starting and stopping with the Iowa, very smart, highly suggest. It's by default nature that you need to have with the Bismarck. And any ship, especially tier 7 ships, always changing your speed and your heading. Especially right now, this is a very pickly situation, especially for how much HP I have left. So as you can see, I'm trying to wiggle around, trying to stay hidden. I mean, you can see the concealment circle. And even though I'm getting closer, I'm trying to angle, and I'm trying to get behind this island, especially since the eye was turning away. And even though I'm heading towards him, most likely, I'm not going to be spotted. As you can see, while I try to take as much time as I can to get to the island before I have to rotate in. And there you go. Now I have help with a Graf Spee, and I believe Tirpitz will be coming up on my left-hand side. But now I have my team with me, ready to go. Graf Spee's in front, taking the lead. We got the other Tirpitz. So just in case if that Iowa is still there, I won't be taking the brunt of the damage. Am I a tasty treat? Definitely. But this is a perfect example of late game teamwork. It is very important to play as a wolf pack, especially in this experience. I know there's one ship left, but when you're trying to get, especially when you're trying to get a Kraken, let alone in the Bismarck, you want to be able to team up like this. And it represents real life. As captains, as sailors, how ships actually work together as a team. And it's just a perfect example. This game was an absolute perfect example of teamwork, of precision, of map awareness, and because of that, how everything works together, you get a great score, you sink a lot of ships, and you deal a lot of damage. And as you can see coming up, when we turn, the Iowa is nowhere to be seen and actually comes up the east side of the map as he runs away because he does not want to get killed. And that's what the Bismarck does. That's the confidence you get when you play this ship. And it's absolutely fantastic. However, we've gotten sidetracked, and I wanted to get back to the statistics of this ship very quickly. These are more so not as important, but still important for playing this ship. So next, we have our AA defense of 62, which is actually very high. And I can say if and/or when carriers come to the game, Bismarck will be able to hold her own. She will be a great ship. She will be a great support ship with her AA. For maneuverability, that's standard, and especially with my build, as you saw with the reductions I've had with my setup. The maximum speed is 26.4 knots, turning circle radius is 850 meters, rotor shift time is 16.8. It's not the best, but you can make do, especially if you know how to play battleships at this tier. It's kind of a loss, but it's not that big of a deal, I can promise you that. For concealment, very standard. Detectability range by sea is 15.4 kilometers, detectability range by air is 12.3, the guaranteed detectability range is 2 kilometers, and the detectability while firing smoke is 14.1 kilometers. And since this game is essentially over, I wanted to go over a little fun knowledge with this ship, and that is the paint schemes. So from 24th of August 1940, the commissioning, to May of 1941, at the end of Operation Rheinbund of Part 3, the ship actually went through 8 paint schemes. It's actually crazy, and the photos are absolutely beautiful. But to end with that, I just wanted to say, this is just a first impression video and a little showcase of what this ship can actually do. There will be a further review with more historical knowledge, information, everything you can think of for the ship, but I wanted to get a video out there as quickly as I could for the people who are curious about this ship and wondering what the Bismarck can do, and it is stunning. Again, thank you for watching. I ask if you like this video, if you would subscribe, and if so, maybe hit the bell button. That would be awesome for me. And if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, please let me know. But again, thank you so very much for your time. This is the Stig. Peace out, Girl Scouts.